It's kind of planned for us already, kind of moving forward. Our Wednesdays, I know it's Thursday, but football Wednesday will become a walkthrough. So I have an opportunity to keep guys fresh. This point of the year is kind of always the point of emphasis as we continue to get the work above the neck and go better work.
All right, I hear you, Thomas Brown. But take a look at what the Vikings did this week. This is from Kevin Seifert of ESPN, who covers the Vikings. With the benefit of an extra day's rest because of the Monday game, the Vikings will have a full pads practice today. This was tweeted on Wednesday, by the way, Kevin O'Connell said. A rare change to get, quote, good physical work at this point in the season. The Bears had Wednesday off on this extra day. Yep. They had a walkthrough on Thursday. That contrast to me, guys, is very dramatic. And the Vikings are playing for something very different from the Bears. But that maybe, if you're asking me, is the team that deserves an extra day of rest for the way they've been playing.
It's a difference between a serious football organization and one struggling to keep players' interest level and engage for the final 4 games of a terrible season. Disappointing. You can't really demand that when you're Thomas Brown because you might lose your team altogether. I think the Bears taking the soft approach reflects a locker room that has softened considerably all season long. It's been gradual, but it's been definite. And I think, Clay, when you are the Vikings, this is a good wake-up call for Kevin O'Connell's team because they are not getting complacent. They're not going to take any days off, and they're thinking Super Bowl. They still have like a good 2 months left in their perfect world.
Yeah, for Kevin O'Connell, I love the move. It sends a message. So there might have been some groans, some moans in that locker room when they said, okay, we're going full pad today. But after they were done, I guarantee you the players liked that they did it because you get that extra work and you get it in that full speed way, the way that you can't get it when you're going through a walkthrough. To say, in a walkthrough, I don't care how involved you are, you will not get the same work. You're not going to remember everything the same. At least do shells, helmet, shoulder pads, or helmet and spider shells to go through the practice. A walkthrough, you cannot get the work in that you need.
And what this does is it's very contradictory from a Bears perspective because this is the same group of players that wanted to be coached hard. Remember those days with Shane Waldron? Coach us harder, guys. No. Thomas Brown says, well, we're going to take Wednesdays and have a walkthrough. This is the softening, and this is what happens when you lose
and David,
a football
what
team.
about Thomas Brown talking about violence and physicality? That's supposed to be his brand.
I think he knows his players, and I think this reflects that. This is not a violent group. You saw that Sunday. After all the talk about violence, they cowered against the 49ers.
I understand that there are 4 games left, and everyone's kind of maybe a little bit checked out at this point of the season. Everyone's trying to avoid getting hurt, as you said, but this team needs to get better over the next 4 games for everyone's sake, for the players' sake, for Thomas Brown's sake, for the entire coaching staff's sake. They don't want to finish the season on a downhill. And that, to me, is why I feel like this is really kind of leaning into we're throwing in the towel.
Yeah, just one more quick thing. I've been in this situation before. I've been on some bad teams, and I will say that you really can set the groundwork for the next season by finishing a season strong, tough, and physical. And right now what this tells me is the Bears are not doing that. They're not even thinking about doing that.
Who's going to be here next season?
All right, guys, we know that everyone is sort of trying to find who to blame next, right? Matty Berflus is gone. Who do we blame next? Everyone wants to talk about Ryan Poles and the way that he's built this roster. Well, Caleb Williams had some strong words regarding Ryan Poles today.
You see how much he cares about the right things. And you know, that being us and our development and all of those things, I think him leaning in those things, helps show us as players that he does care and that he does want to win and, trying to find ways to win. And it's, just like playing quarterback, it's a hard job, being able to, predict the future and making sure you get the right people here. But, I think he's so far done a good job.
Does Caleb Williams' statement there mean anything to the future of Ryan Poles?
I think it does. I don't think those are insignificant words. I don't know what else he could have said, but if he would have said something that sounded anything less than an endorsement, a full-throated endorsement, we would have been wondering, well, what does that say about Ryan Poles' security on the job? Kevin Warren publicly endorsed Ryan Poles last week or 2 weeks ago. Caleb Williams says this now. It would be a big departure for them philosophically, and they have to go against a lot of this to remove Ryan Poles from his position. I still think that could be in play. I still think he should be fully evaluated at the end of the season. But words like this from the guy who is the most important employee at 1920 Football Drive matter.
And I know I'm going to say something that Ruthie is not going to be happy with, and probably not David, but I think Ryan Poles has escaped a little bit of this criticism. I know you said it. We're looking at who to blame next, and that falls on Ryan Poles for me. You look back, what has he done besides the trade, which was kind of lucky? You think back to when you trade Chase Claypool for the 32nd overall pick. What could you have done with that pick?
I hear you, Clay. It's a great point.
Jones, Nate Davis, bringing him in to protect your number one quarterback? I mean, there's so many missteps here that we got to take a step back here and look at what has this guy really done and why is he the GM moving forward?
You're exactly right, but I don't think it's so much endorsing Ryan Poles as much it would be avoiding instability.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the Bears want to try to do because George McCaskey has presided over many general managers, 4 of them, and I don't think he wants to start over again.
I also think that with Kevin Warren sitting up there in that press conference and using the word young to describe Ryan Poles is a statement of patience. He's going to let Ryan Poles grow underneath him.
Yeah.
And I think that's his way of saying, we know that he's going to make mistakes, and I also know that he's going to own up to those mistakes and we'll grow from them.
It's also Kevin Warren saying, I'm here to correct those mistakes and to lead the way because, I don't know if I told you, but I am here. So that's Kevin Warren loving his role as mentor and leaning into it.
And here's my thinking just real quick. Kevin Warren didn't hire Ryan Poles.
He inherited him.
He inherited him.
Right.
So wouldn't Kevin Warren want to hire his own GM and then his own GM hire his own coach? That's just a thought that the Bears never do or never think about. Nobody's ever on the same timeline.
Ryan Poles is not going to challenge Kevin Warren in a way that a new hire might.
Yeah, true.
There you have it. Let's move on to our third down of this opening drive, talking a little bit about the football team on the other side of this matchup on Monday night. Sam Darnold received some chants from the crowd. Let's take a listen to that response.
Especially the MVP chants. How did that hit you considering your career path?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, just to be able to play in front of those fans, to be able to play with my teammates, to play for some of these coaches, it's just an unbelievable opportunity. And I'm just going to continue to stay present, locked in the moment. And, yeah, that was a pretty special moment.
Sam Darnold named Offensive Player of the Week in the NFC after he threw for 5 touchdowns in their game this weekend.
Ride this out, see what happens. There's a great decision and great problem for the Vikings to have. J.J. McCarthy isn't going anywhere. He's on a rookie contract. If you can retain Sam Darnold in Minnesota for a short-term lucrative deal, I think you keep him there. You like to win.
You franchise him. If you let this guy walk for nothing, it's a travesty. You made a mistake. You don't know who J.J. McCarthy is. He can still learn from Sam Darnold. If you franchise him and J.J. outplays him, okay, then Sam Darnold is sitting behind him, or you could trade him and get a boatload from a team that's looking for a quarterback.
Keep him.
He's 3rd in the NFL in rating, 3rd in touchdowns, 4th in yards per pass play. This guy's had an excellent season, and he's won his last 6 ball games.
I wonder, too, if I know there's an argument that maybe some team out there is going to want to pay him for a longer period of time than the Vikings may, or pay him more money. But you wonder if Sam Darnold maybe wants to stick around with a coaching staff and a group that's believed in him and given him the second chance.
Not only believed in him, but brought out the best in him. It's no accident that he's excelling in this system with this offense, with this play caller. If I'm Sam Darnold, I want to stick around in Minnesota for a while.
All right, we unfortunately have to punt on 4th down because we have so much to get to here on the Big Pro Football Show, but don't go anywhere.